Welcome, fight fans,
to the Fighters Boys Kick-Ass Podcast.
Your Fight Talk Authority.
Not to mention the most entertaining and talked about podcast with your kick-ass host, Richard ORTIZ.
You mad? Come at me, bro.
And his loyal kick-ass co-host, Senor Cole Escovedo.
Streaming live and worldwide.
Coming to you all the way live from a little place somewhere in Cali. The Fighters Boys
Kick-Ass Podcast.
Fresno, California. We're live here in Mad Production Studios in Fresno, California. The big Fresno, the big 559. Too bad we didn't have the fair this year. But we did have a lineup of food, and, it's crazy because the whole coronavirus, we couldn't have people there, but yet we showed up in cars and lines to get that big Fresno Fair food. And nothing like a corn dog, I guess, and some, what's that called, with that strawberry, that float cake or something, man. I must be hungry because I'm thinking about food right off the bat. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a great show for you this evening. I'm without my co-host, Cole Escovedo. He's on assignment, actually, and he's taking care of some business with some big news coming. And all I can say is he is in the San Jose area. So if you know MMA in San Jose, I'll let you put the two and two together. Nevertheless, ladies and gentlemen, we have with us one of the big pieces to the puzzle, and we all know about Combate Americas. When they come to Fresno Save Mart Center, they always put on a great show, man. I mean, the matchmakers, the ring announcers, the card girls, you name it, the staff all together, Mike and Fromowitz and Campbell, and they just put on a great show, man. And tonight's guest we have with us is we got the Vice President of Fight Operations and Fight Director, the one and only, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tony Padilla. Welcome to the show, Tony. How we doing?
Rich, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. I mean, looking forward to talking to you. I mean, Fresno is pretty much home base for us with Combate Americas here in SoCal. Well, in California, I should say.
Yeah.
So it's a pleasure to be talking to you.
Hey, man, the pleasure's all mine. I heard good things about Fromowitz. You know, he threw some names at me, and he said, first of all, you got to have Tony on. I mean, this guy is an OG when it comes to MMA. And, you know, I posted some pictures that I had to put together because, you know, it's hard to find a picture of you, man. You're like have you found Waldo yet? No, I haven't. You know, like the guy behind the curtain. So we put something together.
Hey, no, to be honest with you, Rich, I'm a ninja, brother. I stay low profile. I'm old school, OG. You know, it's not about me. It's not about, you know, my face, my persona. It's about the fighters and the fights. So I like to stay low key and be honest with you. I don't do many interviews. So when Mike got told me for this one, I'm like, hey, you know what? I might as well get used to this. Let me give it a shot and see how I do. So here I am right now.
Hey, here you are, man. It's all good, man. As I was saying, when I posted your picture, I got the same response. Hey, that's an OG in the MMA game right there.
Oh, hey, that's a compliment, brother. I mean, like I said, I stay low profile. Been in the game since 2006. My first introduction to like a live MMA was actually 2006. So I've been around a while, but like I said, I stay low profile, very humble. But I've been in the game for a while, so I know a little bit, I should say. Still learning every day.
As we all are. So in 2006, one of your first big events was BJ Penn, Matt Hughes, right? I mean, what a matchup. I mean, you're going way back to the old school guys.
Well, I mean, look at it this way. So I grew up, born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s. Finally had the means to start going to, I grew up a boxing fan, so I started going to events when I had a little money in my pocket in the late 80s, early 90s. So I started going to boxing. So, you know, I love boxing. I was in the mix, you know. Back in the 80s, I grew up with Hagler, Duran, Hearns, Arguello. You know, just the old school boxing is what I grew up with. So when I went to my first event, MMA event, I'm like, oh, damn. This is another thing that I love. So how am I going to be able to afford going to boxing events and going to MMA events? So that's where it all started right there, just a brainstorm in 2006.
So you actually had that conversation with yourself. You said, okay, well, what am I going to check out, boxing or MMA? And you got hooked on MMA, as we know, because you're now working in the MMA world.
Yeah, definitely. No, so when I went to my first MMA event, I was like, this is so much faster. it's just the adrenaline rush is a little bit more than boxing. I mean, no disrespect towards boxing.
Sure.
I said I grew up with it, but the adrenaline rush was just so much different. So I'm like, wow, this is something that I think I'm gonna get into and I'm gonna dive into. So I'm like, how can I make money? How can I afford to go to both of these events now? So as things went on, boxing, I'm not gonna say died out, but the big fights weren't there like they were in the 80s, and the big fights were coming up in MMA. So it kind of just steered me that way to where I geared myself more towards MMA at that point.
So then you started your own promotions, right? You wanted more than just ringside seats. You wanted actually putting on the event.
Correct. Yeah, no, in 2006, my daughter, my last kid was born. My daughter was born in July. September, I went to the BJ Penn Hughes fight, and that's when I'm like, man, I got to do something with this. And that's when I started the clothing line. That's when Tap Out was probably at its peak. They're making a killing doing their clothing line. So I go, let me try this out. Let me start a clothing line, sponsor fighters, go to fights. And in doing that, fighters would always come back to me and say how bad promoters were. I mean, they would just talk so bad about promoters. And I'm like, little by little, I'm like, maybe I could be that different type of guy, that different promoter, or I could not be such a, and treat the fighters fairly. So little by little, I started gearing myself to, okay, let me try and do a show. So in 2007, I found a local boxing promoter here named Ed Holmes. He's a boxing promoter.
Yeah, I've heard of Ed Holmes.
And so I literally had a meeting with them and asked if I could shadow him for a few months and see if I could, if this is something I want to do.
Yeah.
So I literally shadowed him for about 6 months. He let me use his promoter's license to do my first event. And I mean, it was just a journey. I mean, those 6 months was just eye-opening. I would follow him to meeting with fighters. And mind you, this is all boxing. So it's different. It's a different school of thought. But anyway, I took what I could from him, did my first event in 2008 in July, sold the place out. First event. And everybody's like, wow, you sold out your first event? This is great for you. So at that point, I'm like, I was hooked. As nervous as I was, I mean, as much money was on the line. Yeah. It was one of those things where, why did I get myself into this? But on Monday morning, I'm like, I'm ready to do it again.
And I mean, hey, it was just like a fighter entering the ring, man. That nervousness, you didn't know the outcome. You did everything, you prepared yourself for this event, and you sold out. So you got hooked with your first event with boxing. When did you get hooked on MMA and put on your first MMA event? And let us know, what was the difference between promoting boxing and promoting MMA?
Well, my first event was MMA.
Oh, okay, I see. Oh, okay, you used a boxing license. You shadowed the boxer, Ed Holmes. Okay, correct.
The California State Athletic License is good whether you're doing boxing or you're doing MMA. So I did, and believe me, Ed Holmes is an old school boxing guy. He was literally steering me away from MMA as much as he could. But I had my mind set. I want MMA. This is what I want to do. And boom, that's exactly what I did. And as much as he was steering me away from doing MMA, I think a few months later he did his own MMA, even though he was so much against MMA. So it kind of opened his eyes as well. Yeah,
a promoter is a promoter at all costs. I mean, any combat sport in whatever's the new today, whatever's happening today and whatever's working. And I remember that time, that transition when boxing kind of died down and MMA was just taken off completely from the apparel line to everybody wanted to train to looking for an MMA gym. I remember that time in that transition. So when did you transition yourself from promotions to just hopping aboard? I remember you first, as I recall, wanted to get started with Bellator, correct?
Correct. Yeah, no, so back in 2008, I had my first event. I sold the place out. I broke even, so I didn't lose money. I was good to go. I had a couple more events after that. Didn't fare so well. I lost money here and there, but it was too late. I was already hooked. Yeah. Then as far as things go, I mean, excuse me. It was got to the point to where I lost my track of mind. Where were we at?
Okay, you were getting ready to apply, or you were seeking Bellator. And during that time, was Christian Printup involved during that time?
Yes, he was. So I had a friend of mine, Zach Light. He was a matchmaker for Bellator. This was going back to like 2012. So I heard through the grapevine that there was an opening for a matchmaker. And I'm not saying that I was a matchmaker at the point, but I have done everything to that point, from putting up the cage. I mean, literally A to Z, since I have my own promotion.
Sure.
I've done it. And I've match-made my own shows. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put a resume together, send it to Bellator, and see where it goes. So next thing you know, I had Tim Danaher from Chicago, where he was with Bellator. I think he was a VP at that point. He called me. We set up an interview in Costa Mesa. Bjorn and Tim flew in. I had an interview with them in 2012. I didn't get the job, but at that point, they started utilizing me as a local promoter.
Sure, like when they would have events around your area.
Yeah, every time they come to Southern California, they would put me on board to do the matchmaking here in Southern California. So my first event was at the Brent Center in Irvine, 2012. So ever since then, from 2012 to 2017, before I got with Combate, I was a local promoter for Bellator. And obviously there was a transition from Bjorn Redney to Scott Coker. And,
Yes.
But I was still able to keep that job after I met with Scott Coker and Rich Chow with during the transition.
Well, you were just trying to get your feet wet, but continue to knock down those doors and those barriers. When did you meet with Combate, and when did you get your first taste of one of their shows?
2017, they were actually having a show in Burbank, California. And they had just purchased their first cage. They purchased their cage in Kentucky, and it was en route to Burbank where they were having an event. So apparently there was some mix-up when the cage was going to get there. Was it going to get there on time?
Right.
And they were a little bit nervous on, is the cage going to be here for the show?
Wow.
So at that time, they were working with Steve Bash, another local boxing promoter. He called me and said, hey, Tony, we might need your cage. You know what, have it on standby. So at that point, I showed up to the event with my cage. Their cage actually got there. I helped them set them up. And, at that point, it was Mike Afro and Larry Kahn. They said, hey, you know what, you did a good job. We're having a show in Miami. Do you mind helping us get this cage from point A to point B, which was from LA to Miami? So I said, yeah, sure, no problem. So I helped them get the cage from LA to Miami, went to Miami, helped them put up the cage. And then little by little, they started realizing that I could do a little bit more for them than just put up a cage.
They utilized you, man.
Yeah.
They utilized your skills. They realized that you play more than just shortstop and second base.
Yeah. But you know what? I'm old school. I'll do whatever it takes to make shit happen.
That's right.
Make things happen. Excuse my friend.
Hey, it's all good. Because today we're on the Kick-Ass podcast, so you can let them fly out as much as you want, man. You're good.
Yeah. Well, don't tell me that, bro. 'Cause I'm going to get old school with it.
Okay.
So anyway, after that, it was literally a trip to Cancun. They were having the Copa Combate, which is the yearly tournament that Combate has.
Yes.
And they flew me out because they were using the cage that they weren't very comfortable with.
Yeah.
And they wanted me to check out. So they flew me to Cancun for a week. I was literally there 7 days, all inclusive.
Nice.
To check out the cage. It was a wonderful experience. I'm like, man, this is beautiful. I'm in Cancun, doing what I love. Inspecting the cage, I did a report on the cage, let them know what I thought about it, but it was like, this is beautiful. I mean,
Right.
Next thing you know, I helped put up the cage, did my report on it, and next thing you know, I'm helping work the tournament. I'm running fighters from the locker room to the field. I was like, hey, this is great. I love this. So like I said, little by little, I just worked my way in, whether it was me working my way in or they were able to utilize me, however you want to look at it.
Yeah. No, I'm listening to this story, man, and it's just awesome. We're talking about starting from the ground up, and we had several guests that have started from the ground up. One that comes to mind is he started off as the matchmaker for Golden Boy, and that's Roberto Diaz. And, you know, not to get into a story too long, but he started just by meeting one of his favorite fighters at the time, Marco Antonio Barrera. Nevertheless, I mean, today he is now the vice president of Golden Boy Promotions. So when I'm listening to your story, every time that you speak, there's another chapter, and there's another. I don't want to say, well, yeah, let's use the word promotion, because you continue to grow. So continue your story, man, and then we're going to start with all these questions coming in. But I want to hear the story only because you started from the ground up.
Yeah, I mean, sticking to what you were just saying, I mean, I grew up very humble, very modest means, so there's no job that I won't do to help benefit myself and
Correct.
benefit whoever I'm working for. So if I need to, I'm going to tell you the truth. Where I started off at a show in San Diego. I was wiping blood off a canvas for a promoter that needed help, and I wanted to learn the ropes. So I went from literally the bottom up, like you said.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm a very humble person. If I had to go back to do that right now, I would still do it. But it is one of those things where you just, you know, you thrive and thrive and thrive, and if you work hard enough, you're going to get to where you want to be. And where I want to be, I'm very comfortable where I want to be. I mean, Combate Medicus has been very, very, very nice to me. I mean, they've exposed me to things that I've never thought I've seen before. I mean, before I was a local promoter doing shows here, doing very well, but now I'm traveling the world, putting fights together for a worldwide audience.
Yes. And,
you know, it's a humbling experience, and I'm going to continue to do it. Just because it's literally a dream, you know. And sometimes I wake up, I'm, hey, this is really what I do. I mean, I work from home.
That's awesome.
You know, I get to travel. Unfortunately, you know, the coronavirus has put a kink in every Olympics game, but
yeah,
it's not going to last forever. And you know, the times to come back are very strong.
Well, hey, you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. And, you know, I've been saying that lately, and that's exactly, you're living proof of that, my man.
No, definitely. I'm very blessed, and believe me, I look in the mirror every day, and I'm a happy camper.
I bet you are, man. And you know, working side by side with Mike and Fromowitz, man, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. Every time I have a conversation with that man, I'm learning something, literally. And he'll let me ask away. And he'll let me know what I need to do and what I can do to improve and to take that forward step.
Yeah, no, my guy has been around for a while. I mean, I know he comes back from the strike force, and I think before that, you know, he's been around the game for a while.
Yeah,
so, he juggles a lot of balls.
I'm sure he does. That probably didn't come out right, man, but I know exactly what you're talking about. He's probably getting a chuckle right now, man. Tell us about what's your position today, right now with Combate Americas. And where did you, when you first started with them, okay, you started with them with the cage, they utilized you. What title did they give you, and where are you today?
Literally, when I started, I had no title. I was just like, hey, come check out this cage. I'll split us off. Inspect the cage. I literally had no title. So then, after they realized maybe I could do a little bit more for them, I was the fight director. That's when I got hired on in 2018.
2018
as fight director, which it was matchmaking. And then from there, I was, you know, matchmaking the shows, helping matchmake the shows. I was pretty much in charge of the U.S. talent. And then in early 2020, this year, the gentleman that was matchmaking the Latin talent, he left the company. So it was wide open for me to jump right in and handle both the U.S. and Latin American talent and matchmake both. And on top of that, obviously with the operational side, you know, I make sure the cutmen are there, supplies are there, cage is there, ambulance is there. This A to Z operational wise,
yeah,
is I make sure everything's on point, ready to go for showtime.
There you go, man. I mean, you handle it from start to finish, and that's a great title to have too, man. And it's, like you said, even without the title, that's something that you enjoy doing and you're passionate about it.
Yeah, no, and thank God that I have a little experience in it. You know, obviously,
absolutely.
I come from a local promotion, my own promotion. The nuts and bolts are the same as far as getting the cage set, making sure the sponsors are on the bumpers, the sponsors are on the canvas, make sure the ambulance is there, make sure the doctors are there. all those are operational things that are the same for every show,
Yeah.
regardless of whether you're on HBO, you're on Univision, you're wherever you're at. It doesn't matter. Those things are the same. So those are things I'm used to. So those are the things that I'm good with, and I'm very organized. I mean, my memory is terrible, but I'm those gentlemen that take copious amounts of notes. I've done it long enough to where it's kind of repetitious now. So I'm very comfortable in that, doing my job.
Well, hey, you're a perfectionist, man. You want to make sure everything gets done right, properly. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing it. You double check everything and make sure everything's organized. That's the main thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, with us, obviously, with the bigger event, you have it's televised. So if you think about the big picture, you start worrying about how many people are watching the show.
Yeah.
And one little thing could put a hiccup in the whole show. You don't have the ambulance there, the doctor's not there. It could literally put a wrench in everything. So you really have to dot your I's and cross your T's.
Exactly, man. You got to make sure the lights stay on too, because I've been at some events and things can happen.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I've been at events where a fighter's ready to walk out and he doesn't make the walkout.
Oh wow! Wow.
Yeah.
So okay, hey, you just saved one of the questions. Now, why was that? Was that because something going on? I mean, he's getting cold feet, or just the event is just too much for him?
Yeah, I think when it comes down to it, it's literally the nerves get to you and it's just cold feet. I mean, you can make every excuse in the book, and believe me, I give credit to any fighter that steps into the cage. I don't care if you last 10 seconds or you go the full 3 rounds. You have my, respect. But, it's, when you come in to check-ins, then you have to go get pictures and you have to talk to the commentators. It's a little bit different than a local promotion. So the nerves might get to you. And, I mean, I'm not going to call out any names, but, I mean, literally, I'm thinking one time we were in Fresno, a gentleman just did not want to make the walk. And there were literally minutes before showtime.
Wow.
Literally minutes. Yeah. And you got to understand, I mean, we have TV production.
Wow.
There's a lot of, it's fluid. There's a lot of things in motion. So, we have to assess on our end, be professional, and still make the show happen.
Now, did he eventually end up making the walk?
No, he did not.
Oh, wow.
He did not. The doctor got involved, and once the doctor says, if you tell a doctor you're not feeling well, the doctor's, he's not going to make you walk.
No.
It is what it is.
It's almost like you need to have like I don't want to say a psych, but someone there to talk to you and say, okay, look, it's all mental. Let's make that walk. But then again, you're talking him into it. A fighter don't want to fight. I guess he just don't want to fight.
Exactly. If I have to talk to you into making that walk, then you shouldn't be there in the first place.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. So let's talk about Fresno, man, and let's talk about your plans and some fight dates. I know it's hard to really ink those dates in, so do we have anything in pencil? When's the next time Combate Americas is going to be live in action, and where are we looking to drop that cage door at?
Well, as mentioned in the beginning, I was like, Fresno is our first home here in Cali. There's a ton of talent, hungry fighters. They all got heart. They all got quota. If you know the Latin community, that's heart.
Yeah.
So we love Fresno. We love the Central Valley. They come out. There's a lot of talent there. And when we're in California, most of the time we do shows there in Fresno. So obviously with the pandemic, there's no audience allowed. So right now we're looking at doing studio shows. So as far as doing the show in Fresno, we won't know anything until this coronavirus. There's a different story with the coronavirus.
Yeah.
There's peaks and valleys. One month we're golden, we're below. Next thing you know, things are popping up, and it looks scary on our end.
No, let me tell you, man, when you come to Fresno, we're excited to see our own compete. And, I'm thinking of the Avalos brothers, Jose Avalos. I mean, he always puts a good crowd in the seats. Adrian Guzman, I mean, he's another one, man. I mean, that kid has heart. And before...
I'm telling you, were you there? I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, go for it, brother.
When Guzman fought Ramirez?
Absolutely, I was there. Absolutely, I was there. That was probably fight of the year. I mean, these guys, they were actually knocking each other out and knocking each other back in.
That fight was bananas. Bananas. And that's exactly what Combate is looking for. I don't give a, you know what,
Yeah.
about your skill set. Not that I don't, but it plays a factor. Your skill
Yeah, absolutely.
set, you know, how long you've been training. But if you come in there, win or lose, and you show heart like that, you're coming back. I'm going to put you on TV again. That's exactly what we're looking at. I mean, look at Clay Guida.
Oh,
How
yeah.
many times has he won? How many times has he lost? But
You know-
how many times has he put on a freaking show?
Exactly. You know what? Nobody even keeps
Time.
track. Nobody even keep. That's actually one of Cole's favorite fighters. He likes to bring up. Nobody keeps track of his winners losses. It's showtime with him. Win, lose, or draw,
Exactly.
he puts on a show. Standing ovation.
No, and that's exactly what I look for. Like I said, skill set is one thing.
Yeah.
But if you come in and you have that heart,
Yep.
I mean, if you have heart and skill set, that's one thing. I mean, you're ridiculous. But if you come in and you have heart, man, it's just bananas. You know, I'm going to put you on again. Let's put you on again. Win or lose, I don't give a shoot. Put on a show. Put on the show. That's what I want. That's what we want. And obviously, you know, our base is, you know, the Latin base.
Yeah.
We come from Mexican fighters or, you know, south of the border fighters, you know, people that are known to have heart.
Yeah.
So you put on the show, people are going to love that. You're going to make fans. That's what we want.
Absolutely. I know for a fact because I gave a pair away through some promotion through Combate Americas, and one of the tickets that I gave away to, he was a principal, and you know, I'll give him a little shout out. His name was Prince Marshall. Right, and that was his first live event, and he happened to see Adrian Guzman in the cage. He is now a big fan. Before the pandemic hit, they were actually going to make contact, and he was going to have Adrian go to the 8th grade and talk to the students there. All because of the desire, and all because that was his first event. And since then, he's been following him as a fan, and now he's hooked. He's always texting me and letting me know, hey man, let me know when they're coming back.
No, Adrian is actually a fighter that I signed. I saw him fight for the first time in Fresno. I booked him for a fight, and literally right after his fight, I booked him after that fight. I actually signed him to a contract. I mean, but like I said, Fresno has so much talent. I mean, the Avalos brothers,
Yeah.
Paul Elizondo.
There you go, Paul.
Karina Herrera. And then I know they're not from Fresno, but the Frost sisters.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah. Stephanie Zoila, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's just tons of talent in Fresno. So, believe me, when I go there, it's like a gold, and I'm like, hey, I'm not going to have any problem putting fights together there.
Hey, if you ever do like a senior event, man, I mean, bring back Big LeVar Johnson or Joe Soto, and hell, get ESCOVEDO back in there. I mean, we'll make it happen, man. I mean, Fresno is always open for these big names to return in some shape or form.
No. To be honest with you, I was looking forward. I thought I was going to talk to Cole today. I know he's old school. He's been at it since the early 2000s.
Oh yeah.
That's a name that goes way back. So I was looking forward to talking to him. But hey, you know what? Everything's a phone call away. Once we
Absolutely.
get going, hopefully the COVID situation goes away sooner rather than later. Believe me, that's a name that can be thrown out there.
No, yeah, and you know, he said at first, you know what, I can't speak for Cole, man, but I can say a lot of things, but I'm gonna let the man speak for himself. And even Joe Soto, you know, he has some fight in him, and you know, Big LeVar Johnson. I mean, if you want to pack those seats, I'm just telling you, from promotions and marketing, if you want to pack the house, you have Big LeVar Johnson there in some shape or form, and you're gonna see some extra seats get filled and fed with Big LeVar Johnson fans, especially coming from Madera, California.
Yeah, don't believe me. I know every single one of those names, and I mean, like I said, Fresno has been beautiful to us. They come out, show out. It's our first home here in Southern California. So once things normalize, light at the end of the tunnel, believe me, we're ready to book those fights and make things happen.
I know you are, and you know, one guy I don't want to leave out. He's now with another company, and you know, that's Big Al Gonzalez. I mean, you know, I told him just recently. I said, man, you got more heart than Valentine's Day.
No, believe me, I reached out to him. I think before the fight and after the fight.
Yeah.
That kid, you know, I have a lot of, you know, how should I say that? I see some of the fighters that I have geared towards, you know, towards stardom in him, just because of the heart that he has.
Yeah.
And you know what? I came from the same type of environment he did.
Yeah.
So I know there's a way out. So that's why he kind of captures my heart.
Yeah.
I want him to know that there's a way out of the current situation you're in.
Yes.
Keep doing what you're doing, and with that heart, there is no end goal. I mean, you could take it all the way. You know, when you got heart, it's a scary situation. When you got heart and you got skill, it's even worse.
Yes.
You just need to keep working and working and working, and make things happen, because that guy will never quit.
No.
Never. And we've seen it in I don't know how many fights already.
You saw it just a week and a half ago. I mean, he was literally on ESPN Sports Center, the biggest sports platform in the world, and they were showing when he was at his other event with another company that he was in an armbar and just did not tap. I mean, his opponent literally used all his energy. His opponent couldn't answer for the next round.
Yeah. No, I saw it. I literally asked him. We went back and forth. I go, "How's that elbow?" He goes, "It's fine. I think it popped out, but you know, Al, big Al." He said, "I'm fine." I'm like, oh my God! But you know, that guy's been through a lot of adversity, and you know what? If he just keeps up doing what he's doing, you know, there's light at the end of the tunnel for that guy.
I agree. And let's get back to the main thing. These fighters, 75% of them that we've named have come out with that Combate America's shirt and fought for you guys. So I already know when you guys put on a show, it's no sleeper, man. I mean, things happen, and any fight on there, whether it's the co-main, the main event, to the opening bouts, any one of them can steal the show and absolutely live up to all the hype and expectation.
I'm telling you, Rich, when I'm putting names together and I'm looking at your records and I'm looking at the video, I want to see heart. I want to see you go toe-to-toe. Win or lose, I could give it, you know, one.
Yeah.
If you go toe-to-toe, you're going to make it on the show. I don't care. That's what the Latin community wants to see. I mean, we grew up, I think you're probably the same.
Yeah. I mean, we all want to see.
You hear me, Rich?
Yeah.
I have a phone call coming in.
No, I can hear you, brother. Okay.
No, I don't know if it come from the same age range, but I mean, you come out as a warrior, you're going to gain fans. Win or lose, people are going to want to watch. That's exactly what I'm shooting for. And like I said, Fresno has that. There's a few other cities, but Fresno and California, that's where our shit is at.
I won't disagree with you at all. I know the kind of guys that we've had on the show, and I know the guys that we had outside the area too, but there's nothing like some homegrown in here in the 559 area, and they've earned that. I know a lot of people, they like to give a shout out to where they're from and because they're proud of it, and I agree with that. I'm no problem with it. But when I know for a fact that we got nothing but some monsters out here that live and breathe MMA, boxing, hardcore, putting on a performance, entertaining the crowd, and doing what they love. I mean, you can't but forget about this area here in Fresno, California.
No, and believe me, it's not forgotten. From the first time we went there, it was an eye-opener. I'm like, believe me, I come from Los Angeles where there's a gym every 2 blocks. There's fighters at the yin yang. I could book fights all day long. Every fighter's hungry. I totally understand that. But when I went to Fresno, put on the first event, I'm like, wow, these guys come get it. They come after it. They put on the show. And that's exactly what I want. Exactly what we're looking for. So Fresno never disappoints.
Well, you know what, the Fresno fans, man, I mean, they're eager, and they're waiting for this whole coronavirus just completely go away so you can have a live crowd, because you can watch it on TV and be privileged about it and just be grateful and thankful, but there's nothing like, you already know this, there's nothing like living it, breathing it, seeing it, and even walking by and getting some sweat on you or some dry blood, man. There's nothing like a live event, and you guys put on a great event. Actually, the first event I went to, you guys, you had the tournament, and it was just put on, it was showcased, and my gosh, I kept talking about it.
So you saw Pablo Sabori versus Aguilar?
Absolutely.
That was a ridiculous fight. Jaw broken, blood everywhere, beautiful fight.
Well, I mean, just the fact that these guys would get in the cage, go back in the dressing rooms, and come back out. I mean, you guys took it old school.
Yeah.
In that size of that trophy, my man, I mean, you needed a forklift to bring that thing in.
No, definitely. No, and like I said, going forward, obviously it looks like the virus is going to be around for a while. We're going to go towards studio shows coming in 2021. I'm still going to book Fresno talent. Unfortunately, the crowd's not going to be able to come out, but you can still see them on the tube. So Fresno talent's always on my mind, brother.
No, I hear you, man. You know what? I want to talk to you. First of all, I want to talk to you. What was your whole take with, one of our best fighters in the world, just calling it quits on his terms, and you can't help but respect the reason why. And I'm talking about Khabib after he just took care of business, which was one-sided.
No, I mean it's a well-deserved. I mean, the gentleman could do what he wants. He's literally dominated pretty much everybody he's fought. I would love to see him fight again. Obviously, I'm a fanboy. I want to see him fight Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson's a good friend of mine. I actually catered his wife's birthday party a few years ago.
Oh, nice.
I'm really good friends with him. I mean, how many times has that fight been put together? I think 3 times, and it's fallen through. But I think it's a cultural thing to where, he has so much respect for his mom. I'm not saying other cultures don't, but I think it's a little different in the Russian culture to where his mom said she doesn't want him to fight, without the father. This is his last fight, and it is what it is. And I stand true to him saying that that's it. I see other fighters coming in and out of retirement. I don't see him doing that. But it's well-deserved.
Yeah.
Well-deserved. I mean, he literally walked into that fight on a mission. I mean, like he does every fight, but this was something else. His father wasn't there. The pressure was ridiculous.
Absolutely.
I mean Justin Gaethje, he got tired of going backwards. And he put on he knuckled him up. He put some hands on him.
Yeah.
But he walked right through it. There was no stopping
He
him.
walked him down, man.
And I'm telling you, Gaethje looked tired just going backwards. And look at how Gaethje looked against Ferguson. He looked unstoppable.
Exactly.
And what Khabib did on that fight was spectacular, bro.
Just that mental pressure too. Just
Dude,
made it look so easy.
No, you have no time to breathe.
No.
No time to breathe. You're always on defense. He's coming forward. And when you knuckle up on him and you put hands on him and he walks right through it, what does that do to your psyche?
Exactly.
What does that do?
Exactly.
What am I going to do? It's like, I'm done. And it just is a matter of time.
It's like a living nightmare, man. You're hitting the kukui, but he keeps coming at you.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, Padilla was on a mission. He wanted to call it quits, and much respect to him. I know his coach, Javi. I went back and forth on text with him, and congrats to the whole team. He deserves to do whatever the hell he wants to do.
He does.
And retirement's there, and hey, it is what it is. I mean, we just should be happy that we saw him fight those few times that he did in the UFC.
Exactly, and even with Ferguson, even though he lost leading up to that, styles make fights, man. I mean, talking about somebody who could have neutralized or said, hey, that's just my game, bring it. Yeah. That would have been, just imagine it. That's still a dream fight, and even with GSP, which I think he might have taken some too much time off, or even a Nate Diaz, but Tony Ferguson, he loves that stuff, and talk about somebody with heart. But I got to respect what Khabib has did for the sport in his decision.
Yeah, no, if I could retire at 32 years old, it would be a beautiful thing.
I remember that fight, and the microphones are up close to him, and some of the first things that he said was, "Get my gloves off." So I was thinking, okay, no, he's not. I thought about it for a split second, but I never would think, okay, this is it. But he said, "Get my gloves off." And they normally don't say all that stuff. That's not the first thing. They want some water or get my shirt off, put my sponsor's shirt on, the hat on, or what have you. But that was one of the first things that came out of his mouth. And
no, it was a shock. It was a shock to everybody. Yeah. And to be honest with you, when I seen Dana White in interviews after that, it was definitely a shock to him. Just in his eyes, it was like, I can't believe it's done. I can't believe that he's walking away from it. But like I said, it's a different culture. It is what it is, and he's going to stand by his decision, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I can't help that, man. But let's get back to Tony Ferguson, man. Maybe you can help me out here. I've been messaging that guy like crazy, man. We've sent him proposals to try to get him on this show right here, man, because his platform, his interviews, his lifestyle. He is an entertainer. He can do anything. He can just go to the store and put gas in his car. He's just entertaining, and he loves life, especially if music is playing.
Ferguson is a different animal, bro. I mean, I've known him for. I was doing shows at Hollywood Park Casino, and he would come to the shows. I actually had his boxing coach fight for me before. So I've known him for just probably 2005, 2006.
Yeah.
No. About 2009, 2010. So I've known him for a bit. He's a different animal, bro. That guy.
He is.
I mean, I've been out with the guy. He's been through some adversity, but the guy, as far as his demeanor in the cage, has never changed from when I knew him to where he is now. He's just always been a go-getter. Always just come forward. I could care less if I win or lose, but I'm going to put on a freaking show.
You know what? I was rewinding that video he posted when he was in the hospital. I mean, he was still getting down to some. I don't know what he was playing, some old school. Maybe it was like Cutie Pie or something, or Lookout Weekends or something.
I can guarantee he's playing some old school because that's where he's from. He's old school Chicano. That's how I do it. That's how he does it. You know, we're gonna put some Raja. We're gonna put some Zap, some of that old school funk. Like I said, he's a different animal.
He had that one sheet over him, and he had you know how you got to walk when you're in the hospital, that thing with wheels, because I've had that. I was attached to that before, he was actually using that, you know, to help him get down, man. I mean, music was playing. He didn't let nothing stop him.
Yeah. No,
I think he was even gonna try to spin and turn around, but you know how the back's not covered, so his people were telling him, "Hey, don't spin, homie."
No, I'm telling you, that guy will try to break dancing in that hospital suit, bro. There's no shame in his game. He's a crazy dude, and I've been looking at his videos lately. I'm like, Blanco, take off your freaking sunglasses. I mean, it's the middle of night. He has his lopes on. I'm like, hey, but
that's him.
He's a good dude. He's great for the sport, and he's a go-getter, brother. He's a draw. He's gonna bring out
absolutely
the pay-per-view. That's exactly what people want.
Absolutely, man, and definitely gifted with you. Earlier in the show, you're talking about technique. I mean, this guy, I mean, he can roll and then bring you down with just his legs, not even using his arms. I mean, the guy is just phenomenal.
Every angle he can bring it, he's going to bring it. Every angle.
I'd love to see him in some way, somehow, him and Diaz, because talk about grappling, man. Talk about jiu-jitsu, man, and just their athletic ability, man, and just he's definitely.
Imagine that. Talk about.
Oh my gosh! And they'd keep it 100. They wouldn't even acknowledge it was a fight for the fans. They just see this man's in front of me trying to talk shit in front of me, and it's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's how we do. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I know, you know, I'm a Conor fan too, but Conor don't want any of that. He really doesn't. He doesn't want to get taken to the ground and just, which is a fight that I can see happen.
I really don't know what Conor wants. That guy's up and down. I mean, I know he wants big paychecks, which he's going to get regardless.
Yeah.
But I really don't know what that guy wants. One day he's retired, the next day he's calling people out. But, I mean, it's his prerogative.
It is. You know, if you don't mind, man, I'm going to change it up a little bit and talking about somebody who knows what they want. I mean, I know you tuned in to Teofimo Lopez taking on Lomachenko, man, and he definitely took the boxing world by storm. He is now the 135-pound reigning, defending, undisputed, undefeated WBA, WBC, IBF, WBO king of the 135 division, man. What did you think about him shocking the world, and what do you think his next move is going to be? In what division, 135s or 140s?
That's a lot of damn belts. No, and I'll be honest with you. Like I said, I was heavily into the boxing game in the 80s and the 90s, but that is one fight that I did tune into. I did watch that fight. And like I said, I don't know much going on in the boxing world these days. And it was surprising to me because I was watching the fight, and I think at the 10th round, they put Andre Ward's virtual card up. And I was like, how does he have Lomachenko winning that many rounds?
Yeah.
I literally thought the other gentleman, I thought he dominated the fight. Not that he won every round, but in my eyes, he dominated the fight, and he won as he should have. Like I said, I don't know who's next or what's coming up, but I mean, that fight, he dominated that fight. In my eyes, I don't know what Ward was watching, but he dominated.
He put on a great performance, man. He definitely did, and there was a lot of factors, but the main factor was he was awarded the unanimous decision victory, and he deserved it. Him and his father, he has a great team around him. I wish I could speak for him, but I can't. I mean, I can't even speculate because only they know that team. Lopez knows what's happening next, but you know what? Anything that he decides to do, he's definitely going to have the whole boxing community, the whole boxing world, and he's going to give a flip side to the sweet science, which we call boxing, man. He's definitely a big superstar now.
No, and it was a great fight. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I will try and watch boxing now, and if it's a slow fight, I'm going to change it. That fight and the fight before that,
yeah.
You can refresh my memory. Great fight. They went toe to toe. That fight was a great fight. I mean, like I said, I was born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm used to Hagler, Hearns, Duran, Boom Boom Mancini, Arguello, Paz. I mean, I ran Barkley, Whitaker, Azuma Nelson.
Keep them coming.
And those are fights. I mean, they went toe to toe.
They did.
Even in the 90s, Diego Corrales, Castillo. That's what I grew up with. So
Yep.
That's not really what's going on now, at least in my eyes.
Yeah.
So if it's not that type of fight, I'm not really going to watch it, or I'm not going to stay tuned in for very long.
Well, I mean, if you can, stay tuned in for this Friday on DAZN Sports, man, in collaboration with Golden Boy. You got Jaime Magonia, defending. Well, he moved up now to 160, but he was the former WBO junior middleweight champion, and he's now moving up to the 160-pound division, man. So that fight is this Friday on DAZN, and you can watch it, man. And, tune in, man. I mean, you got some guys that are out there, and they're making a name for themselves.
No, definitely. Like I said, if it's a fight worth watching, believe me, I'm going to watch it. I'm just saying that where I came from.
Yeah, no, I hear you, brother.
Toe. Yeah.
And
I was there, like I said, I went to, when I had a little money in my pocket, I started going to the fight. I was there when Mayweather fought Castillo for the first time. And I literally thought Castillo
Oh, so you were there for the first one, the controversial.
I was there.
So who won that fight, man? I mean, you were there live. Who won that fight?
In my eyes, Castillo won that fight. Mayweather was the up-and-comer. We were in Vegas. I don't know how things work in Vegas, but to me, obviously,
yeah.
Mayweather made his point in the second fight.
Oh, yeah, in the rematch.
But like I said, I was deep into the boxing back in those days. I went to every single Barrera Morales fight. 2000, 2002, 2004.
Yeah.
I was at every single one of those fights. I was there when Barrera fought the Prince Hatim.
Oh, I love that fight. That's actually one of my favorites.
Prince Hatim came down in this magic carpet. Somebody threw a cup of pee on him. I mean, it was a beautiful sight. It was,
I thought it was beer, but yeah, I guess it was something else because whatever it was pissed him off. Actually, literally.
I wasn't too far away from that. It was a beer cup.
Oh, okay, I hear you. No, especially I believe in the 12th final round when he got his head and put it up against the ring guard there. And just he wasn't taking any of his tactics, man. He beat him at his own game, and embarrassed him, utilized his power, and even Emmanuel Stewart, who was in Prince Nassim Hamed's corner, after the 6th round, Nassim Hamed didn't want to listen anymore. So Emmanuel was just kind of literally just going through the motions.
Yeah, and I hate to sound like an old man, but that's my heyday. That was.
Hey, brother, you don't sound like an old man. I enjoyed those fights too.
That was Chingazos.
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, the first 3 rounds, Tommy Hearns, Marvin Hagler, doesn't get any better than that. That first round, my gosh.
Yeah, no, Hagler was my favorite fighter. Growing up as a kid, Hagler was my favorite fighter. Toe-to-toe, he's going to come at it. He's going to come with it.
So in your opinion, who won that fight between him and Sugar Ray Leonard?
Obviously, I'm going to say Hagler. I mean, arguments, I don't know if you know Marcos from Fight Hub TV. He schools me all the time saying, you're crazy. But in my eyes, Hagler won the fight. I've never been a big Sugar Ray fan. Even though, I've met him, he's a legend. I don't like that defensive backing up. I like coming forward, chingazos, in your face fight.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And one thing I do respect about Marvin Hagler is when he retired, he stood retired. Even though there was some fights there, he left money on the table. Another one who stood retired, and I thought he had a couple more fights left, even though, he got knocked out. It was still his first loss, was Michael Spinks. I still think that he had a Razor Ruddock fight left in him, or Evander Holyfield fight left in him, but he left money on the table, and I respect when they retired.
Yeah, no, definitely.
What I don't respect, though, and I'll say this, too, is, the first fight, Aaron Pryor and Alexis Arguello. Give me the bottle. Which one? The one that I mixed. I mean, I don't. People can go back and forth about with that, but truth to the matter, there was something definitely inside of that bottle, other than just water, because you don't mix water.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%, brother. And like I said, that was the 80s.
Yes.
Probably a lot of funny stuff that we don't even know what's going on, but you're watching whether it was on TV, select TV. I don't know if we're the same main ring or closed circuit TV. It was it was something to watch. I think I told you in my bio. I grew up with no cable, no on TV, no select TV. I was watching these fights through my neighbor's window, in a crack in the window, watching these fights, and it just made it that much more fun.
Well, I mean, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, man. I grew up listening to them on the radio, just the updates. And I would look over and over on the AM just to find the updates, man, because we didn't have pay-per-view, we didn't have cable. And we had a black and white TV, and then we had a color one, but you would move it, and sometimes there'll be stripes, but sometimes you get it perfect. So it wasn't always on the channel you wanted, but yeah, sometimes we would take it back. But
let me put the shoe on the other foot, Rich.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question. 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, what era do you think was the best in boxing?
Oh, definitely the 80s. Definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. We're talking about Tommy the Hitman Hearns, a.k.a. the Motor City Cobra, Pepino Cuevas, Refredo Benitez, Sugar Ray Leonard. I mean, the list goes on. Donald Curry, Marvelous Haggard, Roberto Duran. What's that?
How scary was Iran Barkley?
Iran Barkley was scary. And let me tell you, let me tell you something too. I met him in Las Vegas, and a fan wanted to take a picture with him, right? And this fan had the audacity to say, "Hey, can you take the glasses off?" He goes, "The glasses stay on," because Iran was sporting glasses inside the casino, and he was not going to take them off for anybody. And the way he made his ring entrance, that's the way he walked around. I mean, very scary, big man too.
No, I'm telling you, I saw him on TV, and I would be like, "Man, that guy's scary as F. Scary."
You know what?
He put on a show.
He did, and you know what very surprised me is even when Tommy Hearns got the rematch, the very first round, Tommy went to the ropes and just laid there. It's crazy because Sugar Ray Leonard, the excellent boxer, could not outbox Tommy Hearns, yet Iran Barkley was able to outbox Tommy Hearns. I just never understood that, and beat him twice, fair and square, knocked him out, and then the decision.
Yeah.
So yeah, the blade.
So what you're saying is I grew up in the correct era.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I don't want to take away from modern day, Tyson Fury, Teofimo Lopez, Jose Ramirez. I don't want to take away from Spence, Bud Crawford, Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia, he's an old school fighter. You can put him back in the '80s, and he wouldn't skip a beat, and jump back over here in a time machine and still take care of business. Those fighters.
Or even the '90s, going back.
Absolutely.
To what I was talking about earlier with Diego Corrales and the Castillo fights. How ridiculous were those fights?
Oh yes, exactly.
Trinidad De La Hoya, how ridiculous were those fights?
Absolutely, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Jesse James Leja, Robert Garcia, when he was putting him up there, and Ricardo Lopez at 112 pounds. A lot of people forget he retired 49-0.
And actually, in the '90s, I was running around with Rolando. I can't even think of his last name. Rolando. He was managing
Corrales?
Vargas at the time. Rolando was managing Fernando Vargas at the time.
Oh, okay.
So I was running around with that cat. I owned a sports bar back in the '90s. He would come visit the sports bar, so we would go to the fights in Vegas with Fernando Vargas. I was there when he fought De La Hoya, so even the '90s were good to me.
Hey, Fernando Vargas is a tough dude, man. And the first time that I met him, I shook his hand and I gave him, like a little partial hug, because I was re-announcing, and he said, "Hey, can you say a certain name for my son, but make sure you roll your R because it's after my grandpa." He goes, "You got to do it right though." So talking about pressure, yeah, right. So I did it right, and he said, "Come here," and gave me a hug, and honestly, it felt like I was hugging a big brick wall or something. I mean, that dude is solid, man. I'm serious. Literally, I mean, he felt like a Mexican Incredible Hulk. I mean, that dude was just solid as can be.
Yeah, good people right there.
Yeah, no, I knew that we chewed on the same fat, man. When you were saying you grew up in a certain area and you watched boxing and you made the transition to MMA, you know, I love them both, and I'm glad I have the opportunity to cover them both, man. But we definitely got to have you after this whole Combate. After this whole coronavirus leaves, I got to have you in studio, especially when you stop by Fresno.
No, definitely not. Like I said, I have never did too many interviews. I kind of behind the scenes. I don't like my name getting out there. But you know what? I'm going to say it right now. You pretty much popped my cherry. I'm very comfortable with you. So it is what it is, brother. If I can be in studio with you, hey, let's make it happen.
Exactly, especially with ESCOVEDO. We're going to make that happen. Hey, I'm going to name off some fight dates for all the boxing fans right now, so just hang with us. Ladies and gentlemen, yeah, this Saturday on Top Rank Boxing, we got the return of Bam Rodriguez. And I'm going to say this again, Bam Rodriguez, who's going to make another step closer to his world title shot. And next month, we have Joshua the Professor Franco in the big, long-awaited rematch with Maloney, and that's going to take place November 14th. Top Rank Boxing. So talk about two brothers, man. And iron sharpens iron. They have the gift of taking care of business inside the ring. Both trained by Robert Garcia and Robert Garcia's Boxing Academy. And also on the card, in the main event of that card, were this Saturday with Bam Rodriguez, and I hope I say his name right. And we're talking about Naoya the Monster Inoue. Naoya the Monster Inoue. I hope I'm saying his name right, man. Give me credit for even attempting it. Making his trip here in the U.S., 19-0, and I believe, 16 knockouts, ladies and gentlemen, so don't blink. He's in there with the other brother, Maloney, and he got 2 bouts on the line. He's going to make it happen for you, the viewers, the fans, man. Make sure you tune into Top Rank Boxing this Saturday. But that's this Saturday. Look how we're getting treated, man, even though it's Halloween. And then we'll switch it up, and we're going to go to the big PVC event, Showtime Boxing. It doesn't get any better than that, man. And one of the fights before we get to the main event is the long-awaited comeback return of Regis Rigorou Prograis. He'd been waiting to get back into the ring. I've talked to him personally. He's been on the show. He wants to let the world know, hey, one loss does not define me. I've talked to him over and over again. I said, any chances of you moving up? He said, no, Richard, I have business here at the 140-pound division. I want my belt back. Plain and simple. It doesn't matter if it's Josh Taylor. It doesn't matter if it's Jose Ramirez. And I said, are you sure? He goes, Richard, it just doesn't matter. I want my belt back. So he'll be back into the ring this Saturday, Showtime Boxing, PBC, and also the main event. Unless you just, woke up one day and said, hey, what is boxing? You don't know what's going on. I don't know. I don't got an excuse for you. But I will tell you, Tank Davis against Leo Santa Cruz, the long-awaited matchup. A lot of speculation going into this fight. First of all, hey, is Tank going to make weight? Is he able to take Leo Santa Cruz out in the early rounds, or will he drown late in that fight in the late rounds? Now, a lot of questions, too. Will Leo Santa Cruz be able to take the power and the pressure of Tank Davis? We don't know. That's why this is another great matchup. PBC is doing big things. Showtime Boxing. You got my man ring announcing. I know you're going to have Ray Flores there. You got Rumblin' Ralph is going to be there. Raul Marquez is going to be there. The whole PVC staff is going to be there. Money Mayweather is going to be there. Leonard's going to be there. Anybody that's running with Showtime, man, will be there live and be there and anticipate the winner of that fight, man. And, we're going to flip it back to our guest right here who had a hang with a little bit of going back with the boxing, man. And that's, Tony, man. I think we can still make you into a boxing fan, man. I think you can juggle more than one act. How does that sound to you, man?
Hey, I'm not saying I'm not a boxing fan. I just got to get up to par. I just got to get up to par with who's in the mix these days.
Hey, man, well, just remember the name Jose Ramirez, Teofimo Lopez, Manny Pacquiao, Mikey Garcia, and you got Bam Rodriguez, and you also got Joshua Franco from Madera, California. You got, Brian Lua, and from Fresno. I'm still waiting on you, and I have faith in you, Isidro Ochoa. And if I miss somebody, somebody will probably text me and be a little upset, but it's okay, man.
You got it, my man. No, looking forward to see those names up on the marquee.
Absolutely, man. And, big shout out to all the fighters, man, either entering the ring or the cage. And, wish you all the blessings in the world to be safe, man. But I can't leave this tonight without, taking, tip to my hat to the Los Angeles Dodgers, man. We finally did it. And a lot of people would put us on blast and say all we do is choke. And what I would tell them was, hey, we're going to keep going until we get it right. And last night, we got it right. So congratulations to the Dodgers, man. And, even my son, I wanted to share that moment with them, but we had our moment together, and we did share it together, man. And just having you as a guest, Tony, and I knew I was going to bring you on. I was thinking, okay, this guy didn't do interviews, and I was thinking, he probably thinking he's only going to do 10 or 15 minutes. So I was thinking to myself, I'm going to let him talk and feel comfortable. Once he's comfortable, then I know he's going to be hooked. And it sounds like you're hooked, my man. In your position that you're in, get used to it, because you're going to be doing a lot of interviews.
Hey, sounds good, brother. Like I said, believe me, I'm not used to this. I have butterflies coming into it, but you made me very comfortable. And big shout out to my Fresno family, brother. I look forward to seeing everybody in Fresno, making things happen again, get the mix going on again.
Right on, man. So how do we stay in tune? How do we follow you, man? What's your Instagram? What's your Twitter? How do we stay in touch?
Like I said, I'm old school. I mean, you can see me on IG, Sparstar MMA, or on Twitter, Sparstar MMA. But if you see a food picture, that's fine. If you see anything else, that's my team.
There you go. Hey, I want to thank everybody that's in tuning in to us, and don't forget to continue to subscribe The Fighter's Voice, our YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/The Fighter's Voice. That's www.youtube The Fighter's Voice. No, wait, yeah, www.youtube/The Fighter's Voice. Remember, every fighter has a voice, and so do you. Live here in Fresno, California, it's a wrap with our guest, Tony Padilla. I want to thank him once again. Thumbs up for Richie.
Okay, fight fans, it's not goodbye, but until next week.
Remember.
It's always voiceography at its finest. So on behalf of Richard Ortiz, Cole Escovedo, the special guests, and all the crew right here at the Kick-Ass Podcast, saying hasta luego, babies. And always, thanks for listening.